Oh, greetings from Flight Quest 40. Today's all things DME. We're back in the Baron 58 out of Lehigh Valley International Airport. We're going to depart runway 31, and with this segment of flying this custom-made DME that I made in Little Navmap, we're going to go ahead and actually use the GPS, and we'll be using the autopilot, heading mode, nav mode, approach mode, and so forth. We will fly the GPS runway 7 into Queen City Airport. Previously, we looked at building this DME ARC around the East Texas VOR. Then we flew it in a single engine 172, in which we had the two instruments here, the VORs. Then the third video, part 3, we used the HSI, and then we also related that to the VOR to show the differences in twist 10 and turn 10, and we showed how we could find our relative heading on the VOR unit as well as the HSI. Well, today we're going to depart off of runway 31 and climb out probably to anywhere from 3,500 feet to 4,000 feet, and then we'll go into the approach mode and pick that up and let the autopilot hook up in there with the Garmin 530, and we'll follow our flight plan all the way around through these waypoints. And then once we get there, we'll go ahead and go direct to Dostar and allow the approach to continue from there. We'll probably, as you see, we are in terminal mode now. Once we get close and we go into that, it should go to LP plus V. Well, let's get started. Probably won't be too much talking in this one. Everybody will be relieved. So once again, thank you for flying with Flight Quest 40, and well, let's bring it on. And it's generally the same takeoff briefings we had if we lost an engine. Any kind of problem on the runway, we'll initiate those. Alright, gas is on, mixtures are forward, props are forward. Takeoff lights are on, gear is down, flaps are set to approach. Still a lovely VFR day out here. Eventually we'll get some IFR weather. Airspeed's alive. I'm going to go ahead and pick up on heading mode. As you can see, we have heading mode here with the flight director. And let's go power 25, 25. 25 inches and 2500 RPM. Let's go ahead and turn on our prop sinks. And next we are going to get our yaw damper on. Very good. Pretty straightforward so far. At this point, tower hands us off to approach. Let's go over to approach. They have us climbing up to 3,600 feet with a right turn to 060. I'm going to turn my heading bug to 060. And you can see that right there. 2,000 for 3,600. All right, let's do our climb checks. We're looking at about a climb speed of, I wonder what the circles are for. About 120, that's fine. Oh, wonderful, creative cloud. Okay, we're all updated there. At this point, landing light is off, takeoff lights are off, mixtures are forward, props are 25, power's 25 inches, heading 060, and we can see our plane up there on coming around FJC. Approach has us on radar. 600 to go. They give us a right turn to 150. Let's make it 120 for now as they circle us around. And 3,600, I will hit altitude hold. Altitude hold is pressed. And we pick up about 140. I'm going to go into cruise now. Let's run about 19 inches on the manifold pressure. Props back to 2,000 RPM. Go back to about 18 inches. Tower gives us a right turn to 150. Fuel pumps off one at a time. And let's lean our mixture. Looking at my EGT here, both of them left and right. As you see my throttle mixtures. A little bit of a drop and back up we go. 5% on that. So currently we are on heading mode. and we are on altitude hold. Approach gives us a right turn. Cleared to Gene, resume on navigation. About a 30-degree interceptor. Kind of overshot that a little bit. Let's get back on course. Airspeed looks good. Instruments are in the green. Temperatures look good. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and pick up on our, once we're above the area there, I'm going to hit my, I think with this one it works with the approach mode. Alright, just verifying that we are going wings level, that we are intercepting the outbound course. In my previous video, I mentioned that this course here was a radial off of East Texas VOR. Well, that was incorrect. Everything else here is off of a radial. This was just a GPS course that we put in from the airport directly to Gene. Okay, we are currently at 11.7 miles. We were showing the same thing here. The DME is a 7-mile arc. I'm going to say that the right turn, if the GPS does its job, when I make that right turn, how soon should I start turning? Well, if we took the airspeed of 100 and divided that by 200, that would be about a half a mile. So if I look at 200, again, we take the ground speed, divide that by 200. So if I'm at 200 knots ground speed, 200 divided by 200 would be 1 mile. Well, we're kind of pretty much halfway in between 200 and 100. So hopefully what we want to see is that on the number will be bigger than 7. So we know it's going to be more than a half a mile and less than 1 mile. So if we interpolate that halfway through, probably about 7.5, I'm sorry, 7.8, the plane should start making a right turn to heading of approximately, I'm going to say 310. Now you see the heading bug is not activated. This is the first time I'm flying this with the GPS. I don't have my video camera on for the controls. Not much going on down here. Let's take a look. Here's 8.5. Yeah, we're clipping off about 150 on the ground speed, so that would be okay. It's telling us now right turn 334 or 7.9. Let's see what happens. It's coming in at 7.6. Maybe that's the number, 7.6. And as you see, this DME ARC that we created in Little Navmap, and we put all these little waypoints in here, we can get the plane to actually fly these tangents on our trigona hexagona septi 30, whatever that physics and trigonometry equations would be. But we are going to fly a 7 DME ARC, but we will be flying these tangents of the arc. So we don't really have to do anything with twist 10, because if you look here, this is not going to cause the airplane to turn. Let me get rid of that. I could turn this all day long and nothing's going to happen. And you see the GPS unit's giving us another turn to 313. It'll be a left small turn, twist 10. So it's doing the turning all by itself. I'm going to go ahead and remove the yokes for a moment here. Check something out here. Probably can't do anything that, but if I were to look at this, this is approximately 30 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put 30 degrees in here. There's 30 degrees on the OBS. And with the HSI, there is nothing to do here. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this up to my inbound course for our GPS approach, as we're taking the long way around, and allow the airplane to do all of its work. See how much easier this is? One thing we'll take a look at again, if we notice our ground speed on this independent VOR unit is showing about 19 knots, and the ground speed on the GPS is showing 154. Once again, with the independent unit, does not see us moving closer to the VOR or further away at any significant speed, so it's coming into anywhere between 14 to 12 knots, whereas the GPS is giving us the ground speed. We are still in terminal mode. We do have a message 229. We're just going to disregard that message and stay with our flight plan. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit more legible, easier to see for us old eyes. If I bring Little Navmap down here, get a better picture of it real quick since we are on the scope of things. There we are, doing a left turn out of Ace. I'm going to measure something here real quick. Let's see what KISS is. KISS is, well, it shows about 352, and this one will be about 332. They're about 20 degrees difference, which worked out to be about 2.5 nautical mile distance on there. So, I'm sorry, what did we say this was going to be? Let's make it 350. Put this back up here. Oops. And let's take a look at our approach plate. It did say something we were at. Let me change this to 350. Okay, needle goes to the left. So now we'd be about 332 will be the next one. What was that? Because we were 20 degrees apart. So instead of going 10 degrees, I'm going to go 20 degrees, 332. Let's bring up our approach plate. Brief the approach. WAS, yes. Approach course is 070. We set that in. Missed approach is a climbing left turn to 3000, direct to Dostar and hold. That's here. Here's our climb. AWAS 127.85. Pretty much have that information. 1965 is approach control. Unicom is 122.7. Inbound for the course once established between 3000 and 6000. Dostar, the initial approach fix here, also related with a holding pattern. We can descend down to 2300 prior to Yezdo, final approach fix, then down to 1700. It's going to be a straight in approach. We're going to be looking at LP. All right, MDA is 940. LNAV 1060, and then a circle is 1060. The runway is going to be runway 7. It's a hard surface runway. Runway 7 has medium intensity runway lights and REILs for runway 7 and 25. So we will be coming in pretty much straight forward. Our minimum safe altitude is 3,600 from the airport, runway 7. And everything else looks pretty good. The plate is current, I think. Let's see, October to October. No, it's not. It's an older plate I saved. This is going to be the RNAV GPS of runway 7 out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. Well, let's take a look at where we're at. Let's do our cruise checks. Everything's in the green. Pops look good. Fuel flow looks good. Cylinder head temp looks good. Oil temp is good. And pressure is good. Left and right engines. We still have the prop sinks on. Landing lights are off. Looking pretty good. Plenty of fuel. We are on course. We're still with approach control. And we might as well put our Unicom frequency in there once we get handed off to them. That's going to be on COM 1. So much easier to talk, enjoy the view. I probably will try to find I generally just fly what weather I get, because when I start X-Plane 12, I just use the real weather download. I could go in and create broken clouds or create an IFR atmosphere where we'll be in IMC conditions and so forth. But we get the same result here. And it's just so much more relaxing to cruise along, check things out. And at this point, we are getting closer to our initial approach fix. I'm going to start slowing the airplane down to, say, about 120 now. I'm going to come back to about, let's try 17 inches on the manifold pressure. I'm going to leave the props where they're at. Maybe just bring them down a little bit. So let's square the numbers, 1717. I will not descend down to 3,000 just yet. One of the other things that I can also do here, we can put, there's no ground control there. Let's just change this ATIS from Allentown to 122. 7. And we could monitor that. Since we are going into a non-controlled airport, airspeed's coming down. Let's take a little more power out, right? I don't want to go too low. We don't want to shock cool the engines. So I'm just going to accept the airspeed that I get with 16 inches. If I really needed to slow down, here's one of those situations where, well, we can extend our flaps to approach. We're well under that airspeed. Could even put the landing gear down if we needed to, but I think we're too far out for that. If I were going to do anything, I probably would elect to put the first notch of flaps in. One of the things that we can do Alright, let's get Little Navmap back up here. Getting pretty close. Right now we're showing love. That's Dynasty. And then the next one is Unmasked. Once I get to Dynasty, you know, after I pass that, then I generally just go direct to DOSTAR at that point. So we'll come back to this in just a moment. Okay, airspeed's coming down nicely, looking right at 120. That's what we were looking for. I'm enjoying this flight much more than the other ones. I haven't really touched any of the controls. Actually have a coffee going. And I guess that would be the point of this video and the other ones. I was thinking about, you know, programming my own DME ARC in the into the Garmin 530 from Little Navmap to one of the local airports where I like to fly out of a lot. That way, if I'm coming in from across country or something like that, I could pick up on any of these waypoints or points that I put on my DME ARC and create an initial approach fix out of them. Obviously, for my enjoyment, this approach is by no means certified for anybody. other than us daredevils in X-Plane 12. Well, there is a dynasty. Once we make that turn towards Unmasked, that's another album that the rock band Kiss created. I don't think I have all of their albums in here, but after Ace, the first album is Kiss. That was like 1974. Well, at this point, and then the rest of them are in order, following up, and I think I made it to Unmasked. Let's go ahead and click on Flight Plan. I'm going to go ahead and scoot this down to Doster. I'm going to hit Direct. I'm going to activate it by hitting Enter. And let's go back to our flight plan. It should put the course in there. It did. We are at about 120, looking pretty good. Let's see if this all works out. This is the first time ever I am flying this in X-Plane using the GPS. I'm very happy with it so far, with my DME ARC and the GPS pairing up with it. We're still in terminal area. We do have our inbound course set. We did brief the approach. I'm hoping this is going to turn to LP plus V. What's nice about this being paired like that, the HSI, I have that set to 070, and I don't have to switch over from localizer LOC to GPS because I'm in the GPS mode. Hopefully it will not pick up on the holding pattern. I think I did remove that. Yes, holding pattern is at the end of the approach. And there we go. We have LP plus V. So at that point, I'm just going to maintain 3,600. And we're going to go ahead and fly this approach inbound. I'm going to leave the power set right where it's at. We are currently showing nav and approach with altitude hold on. Once we establish on a vertical path down, the altitude mode should turn off. Vertical guidance is alive, or if you want to call it glide slope. I'm going to be looking at the approach probably a bit more than blue line. 120 is a comfortable speed. And then once we turn off the GPS to do our landing, obviously then we'll slow down to about 100. Now I'm watching for altitude to turn off, and it did. Airspeed's going to start to increase. I'm going to wait to get to Yezjo for my landing gear extension. Sometimes out here, I'll extend my landing gear if I am hand flying the airplane. I'm going to take some more power out. Cowl flaps are closed. Approach has cleared us for the approach, so we are now going to go up to click up there, Unicon frequency, let the comment traffic down there at Queen City, announce our intentions, let them know what we're doing, because some people may not be familiar with what a GPS approach is. If you have a student pilot in there doing some practice takeoff and landings to the same runway that we are going to land on. Coming up on Yezjo. Airspeed increased a bit, but that's okay. When the gear comes down, we'll be okay. $3,000. After Yezjo, well, we can be at 2,300 up to Yezjo, and then down to about 1060, 960. And at this airspeed, our rate of descent should be approximately 600 to 700. Let me take a look at that. And it is. This is Yezjo. I'm going to come in. We are below the landing gear extension speed. Green. Gas is on. I don't know, I have a habit of putting my fuel pumps on. Undercarriage is down. Mixtures are going to go forward. Flaps we have set for approach. I'm going to leave that right there. Hold that. Looking for about 120 knots on this straight in approach. Let's see if we can identify the runway. I see it. Yes, we're right there. Obviously, if we were in the clouds, we wouldn't be seeing that. Airspeed's coming down. I'm going to bring the power back up to about 15 inches here. Let's find that power setting for approximately about 110. It will be fine. Traffic pattern altitude is 1,400 feet if we have to circle. Queen City traffic, bearing November 45 X-ray Sierra, 2,000 west of the field, inbound landing, straight in, runway 7 off the GPS approach. Queen City traffic. Airspeed's looking good. I can probably come in with a little more power. All the instruments are in the green. No timing needed. We are about 110. Let me scooch this out of the way. Let me get a better view of the runway. Beautiful day out here. Point, I'm going to turn my yaw damper off. Yaw damper is off. Prop sync. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. This looks good. It's full of whiskey. Nobody drank it. It represents that. Let's go ahead and turn our lights on. Compass is good. Instruments are already green. Lights are on. Flaps are set at 1. Gas is on. Mixtures are forward. Undercarriage is down. Gas, undercarriage mixture A. Let's go ahead and bring our props up. Do it over top of this field. Airspeed may increase a little bit. When I go the props forward, we should see, I generally like to be about 25 inches with my props forward. Because if I have to go missed approach, that's my climbing power setting. If we go missed approach, we'll be doing a left climbing turn out of Queen City to Dostar, direct to the holding pattern. Autopilot's going to come off now. Autopilot is off. And disregard these power lines, they don't exist in real life. Get a little squirrely in here. I always feel crooked. Alright, settle down, airplane. Alright, not the best landing in the world, but nice approach. And flaps go up. Transponders going to standby. Weather scope, standby. Don't want to blast anybody with our gamma rays. Fuel pumps can go off. Lean out mixture. And we will exit the runway. Let's take Bravo, a left-hand turn to Bravo.